Hello. Welcome. Welcome to the Development and Improvement Exchange. I'm your host, Martha. And as usual, we'll start with a little bit of music. This episode is a beautiful one. It really touches on, I think, the core of what's in us. It's all about becoming the signal, mastering the energy and the presence. So I'm a little bit wary because last time I spent too much time having fun, singing and dancing. It's a thing I love to do, but at times like this I gotta go back to school. It's alright, it's alright. I just gotta do what I'm supposed to do and everything will be alright. So this is our title for today. For those of you who are new, watching this for the very first time, I am Coach Inazni. I am your host. That's what my face looks like. To show it first. It's just so much more comfortable for me to put the mask on. I'm a little bit, should I say, addicted since the pandemic. It just feels cleaner. I feel like my vascular system is working a little bit harder. I like it, so please bear with me, tolerate it with me, and look into my eyes if you want to see how my intention unfolds. So unfortunately, I actually couldn't upload my presentation as I normally do. I've moved from Restream to StreamYard because I wanted a little bit more of an intimate feel. We're going to start inviting guests soon. It's really great to have a platform that really embodies the guests and what they bring to the table. And I feel like StreamYard really does that. This is our first time using Stream, and so far so good. Using an iPad today, so that is why I'm unable to upload it. A little bit frustrating, but I found a little workaround around it. As you know, as usual, please, if you are unable to attend today, you are more than welcome to watch the replay on YouTube on @inasniconnections.com. You can also follow us on Instagram @inasniconnections or @inasnimedia, part of our ecosystem tailored just for broadcasting. You can also follow us on LinkedIn for insights on well-being, health, and coaching. We do this live stream Development and Improvement Exchange every Wednesday at 12 p.m. This exchange is a weekly live streamed gathering of minds and voices, callings, and is designed to challenge and uplift and activate. So without further ado, let's dive into the episode of today, becoming the signal, mastering energy and presence. does it actually mean? I'm asking. Anybody know? Mastery. We hear it so often. What does it actually mean? I'm not so sure that I do know. But I do know that without presence and energetic clarity, what happens is we as healthcare professionals, we trap our authority inside us in order to unlock one's invisible authority. It is extremely critical, and I mean extremely critical, that presence, energetic clarity, and embodied leadership is magnified and sort of brought to the surface. And what this does is it allows you as a healthcare professional to lead with more than words, which is the entire purpose of today's live stream. So without further ado, I say we dive in. Hey? Okay. Let's begin. First, what energy? What energy do we broadcast without trying? I think that's a beautiful question. Healthcare professionals, I'm speaking to you directly now. Put my glasses on for this one. You're already communicating before you speak. Your energy is already one of leadership. Your presence already directs, and you already broadcast from your very being a frequency that already shapes rooms. I'll give you a practical example. A call bell. When a call bell rings, when you enter that room, you're broadcasting a frequency combined with a presence, combined with an energy. The energy when you walk into that room to answer that call bell is one of leadership. You are leading the response. When your presence enters that room, you become directive. You are directing the response. And when you stand in that room, you're broadcasting a frequency that shapes the very room itself, as well as the response. And the response is brought about not just by you, but by others that work with you and around you. Your team, the response team. You are leading, you are directing, and you are shaping the frequency of the response team. In this episode, I really would love for you to visualize how you can become the signal instead of the static. You're going to learn three things. Number one, the mechanics of presence in high pressure settings. I was going to add the word energetic presence there, but that's just my preference. It's just presence, the mechanics of it. Number two, you're going to learn how to regulate, how to refine, and reclaim your atmosphere. I repeat, you're going to learn how to regulate, how to refine, and how to reclaim your atmosphere. And number three, you're going to gain some tools to stop over explaining and start transmitting. And some tools, I'm just going to give you three tools. 3 might be even too much. 2 tools. All right, this is an hour long. Not a lot of the day is going to settle in. We've got already 12 minutes in. So without further ado, let's really play for this here. So the first part of this 5-part series is the foundational realization. Remember, it's not words that you need more of. It's witnesses. Witness. Bear witness. All right. So unlocking embodied resonance. The word embodied is embedded in your body. Okay, it's in your body. The energy that we broadcast without trying is actually the energy that others demonstrate to us on a daily basis. When you're coming to work and you are giving off a negative energy, this negative energy, even if it's just 5% negative energy or 2% negative energy, it will never be 0%. At the very least, 0.1% negative energy. You just say that one negative sound, or you make that one negative word, or you perform that one negative behavior. Whatever the negativity, what you are actually giving to others is kind of permission to do what you're doing, especially if you have leadership, if you have direction authority, if you have leadership authority, and if you are a person whose frequencies are naturally just grabbed up by others. Some may refer to that as charisma. So you're having fun on the woods, you're making jokes, you're listening to people, you're bouncing off their energy, you're giving them a lot of sort of attention, if you like, and they are really feeding off it. There's laughter in the air, there's a lightness in the air, and people are really feeling like they can come to you and share things with you and be open with you. But that's positive energy broadcasting. And what you're hearing back, someone laughing with you, someone making jokes with you, someone approaching you, is because you approach them. It's because you laughed with them. It's because you make jokes with them. So I really hope going forward, you remember that what people mirror from you says more than what they repeat verbally back to you. All right, without further ado, let's move on to the next question. When does our calm change a room more than our words? Another really beautiful question. We have Darren Jones checking in saying, hey, hey, hey. Hi, Darren Jones. Hello, Darren, and welcome. In an argument, that is certainly one response. I beg to differ, however. Silence. We see silence so negatively. We are, from the moment we come out of our mother's wombs, we spend our time screaming and shouting. And we don't stop doing that even when we become adults. It just keeps going on and on and on and on. It's very true. Here's the thing, though. When a baby goes quiet, real worry begins. When a baby is born, and you know, our midwives here and our, I suppose they're called gynecologists. They'd certainly have a lot to say about this. When a baby's born and it's silence that sort of greets the room, we know there's trouble ahead. It's a signal of trouble ahead. We want to hear those cries. I think if you're an ambulance crew and you hear of a baby that's choking and the baby's not crying or making any sounds, you kind of get the same gist. So, what does that mean for us when we are in a room? When someone says hello, you're not obliged to reply with a verbal hello. Eye contact and a smile does the job. Silence. Beyond words. Going beyond words is actually taking a step away from words. The majority of our communication, and this is a well-researched piece of evidence here, is nonverbal. Well over 60%. I don't remember the exact figures. I remember the number 7, but I feel like that's gone up even more since Paul Ekman's research. That's a ton of communication. We know that when we walk into a room, we really seek first impressions. We know that others seek first impressions. And so it really does determine a person's relationship sort of going forward. You're always comparing future behavior, future actions to the first impression you ever get of a person. So they say first impressions last a lifetime, and they do. For a reason. Silence. Absence is absence. Absence means you're not in the room. Silence means you are in the room. You just, do you know what I mean? I can be physically in a room and be absent from the room mentally. I can be physically in a room and be silent and be present in the room. Go ahead and give that a go today, wherever you are. Invoke more silence and communicate more non-verbally to really allow your calm to change a room. Moving on to the second part of our 5-part series, embodied mindset, sort of leading with regulation. So how exactly does this work? Well, what do our nervous system do? What does our nervous system say when our mouth goes quiet? When we invoke that silence, that embodied silence in a room? There's your hint. Stillness will always speak volumes when it is not coming from a place of dishonesty. I repeat, stillness will always speak volumes when it comes from a place of honesty. So if you are being dishonest, if you are being fake, if you are being a person you know in your heart you do not wish to be, you know in your heart you are wrong to bring to the surface in that particular moment, that's your nervous system talking to you. Our nervous system is our communication system within the body. And communication is everything between each other. How do you know you're not being fake? Well, your nervous system will tell you. Because you're being consistently honest. When you are consistently dishonest, I suppose that becomes your norm and your baseline. However, you will receive a lot of challenges externally if you are being dishonest. And if you just keep going at that, you'll find so much more tumultuous challenges internally when you're on your own. So if you can today, listen to your nervous system. What is it saying to you when your mouth is Give it a go. How still can you remain? Are you comfortable enough? Do you have enough authority, enough leadership to take charge of your own self? Or do you succumb to your nervous system? The choice is always yours. So, what exactly would shift if our leadership flowed from embodiment and not performance? I really love this one. Because we're so focused on performance, whether we're in the bedroom, whether we are in the surgical room, whether we are in the break room, whether we are in a meeting room, whether we are even in the toilet. You need to pee real fast so you can get back on. I was gonna say on stage, but I suppose it's yeah. I have the image of the emergency department room where you're kind of like in front of everybody and you need to move fast to do certain things, but you've been holding your urine for what feels like forever. And you need to get it out fast so you can focus again, because when the body's needs are not met, the nervous system tells you. And it's really hard to focus on everything else. You start to become a little bit more curt with what we talked about all the way back in the first question. You start to become, what's the word? You start to broadcast negative energy. And that's not what we want in the slightest, because humans do pick up on things. So the hint is there. Your performance will protect you. And it is what we are sort of conditioned, if you like, in society to do, to protect our assets, to protect our family, to protect our health, to protect our well-being, to protect who we are identity-wise. You see that a lot in our trans community. But that's because you've been sort of cornered. You've had to fight for it. You've found yourself without so much of what you needed that this is like all hell breaks loose kind of war. You're like, okay, I'm going to put my foot down. That's it. I cannot allow myself to ever experience what I experienced again. I'm going to go into full protection mode. And that requires performance. That requires you to actually be at your best. And to be at your best, you got to make some sacrifices. And for a lot of us, that validates things. And it's like, that's great. I've made this sacrifice. This is amazing. I'm performing. Except it's come from a negative place. You're reacting to a really negative stimulus. Reacting to a positive stimulus will always yield greater rewards. Therefore, your presence. You start with your presence. You're not performing when you're born. So your baseline is not performance, actually. Your baseline is just having a presence, just existing, just commanding a room. Think of a baby. Everyone's attention's on that baby. And that doesn't stop until the baby starts talking. It's, they talk. Oh, they're walking. Oh, they're running. Okay, what else can they do? And then you start to say, oh, I need to perform to get more attention on me. Well, it's so deeply rooted in us. But if you are a leader and you are leading people, you must shift from such thinking. Because leadership that flows from the nervous system, free flows from the nervous system, from the body, naturally moves away from performance and actually gives permission to the team to perform. So if you're a leader, give it a go today, just for 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Walk into a room where your team sort of resides in and listen. Don't say anything. Greet them. You see a lot of in Asian culture, greeting with a bow invokes such much greater presence than hi, which you hear a lot in sort of Western culture, especially in America. Hi versus, you know what I mean? Give it a go. Have some fun with it. See what comes out of it. Transmit who you are. So moving on. Atmospheric authority. Becoming the safe space. Here's another one that I love. I love this third part of our 5-point system because safety is the number one in health. We all want to feel safe when it comes to our health. And that goes beyond physical health, emotional health, mental health, especially in the workplace, moral health. Just having a safe space to share your worries and your concern without being looked at as somebody who doesn't know how to do their job is so important and so vital. I love being a safe space at work. I don't even say anything. Half the time I don't understand what they're saying to me. But they feel good after, and that's important because when they feel good, they feel assured of their direction. They already have all the answers. That's a great thing, isn't it? And they just needed someone to accept them for who they are and not judge them. And who they are is far beyond their identity and what they bring to the table as a professional. It's actually just the fact that they're human. And humans are prone to imperfection. Pure and simple. So this is intentional, where do people breathe differently when we as humans are present? That's right. Where do they breathe differently? The key part of this question here is the where. Not what do people breathe differently, not how do they breathe differently, not which way would they go to breathe differently. Where? And it's you, your body. Let's take a hug, for example. A hug, a lot of people love hugs. It makes them feel really, really safe, doesn't it? It makes them feel cocooned. It makes them feel like they've arrived in an intimate space that is non-threatening. And that's key here. We are so wired to respond to threats that we forget that we're also rewired to respond to non-threats. Something that is non-threatening, for example, an old person or a baby, they're so endearing. They're so endearing. You just want to cuddle them. You want to spend time with them. You want to give them your attention. Your eyes are always darting over to look at them. They just represent the essence of vulnerability itself. And that's exactly what safety brings to you. It allows you to be vulnerable. And when you are vulnerable, you do amazing things. If you are a leader listening to this, I'm telling you, be vulnerable enough to allow yourself to be a safe space where people on your team can breathe differently. If someone's really anxious on your team, pay attention to their breathing. I mean, we pay attention to patients' breathings all the time, so why not each other, right? Just pay attention to your colleagues' breathing. What is it like? Is it ragged? Is it too fast? Is it shallow? Are they taking deep breaths? Have they taken a deep breath in the last hour? That's a bit much. Are they taking deep breaths because they're breathless, because they've been running around? Maybe time to pop down and maybe just get up from your desk and go to the water fountain and get them a cup and put it down there. It's not even about them drinking it. It's just about them knowing that their leader sees them. Their leader is looking out for their safety, and their leader actually cares. Wow. I think that's pretty cool. So how can we command without control and hold space without taking it? Dominance enters loudly. I repeat that. If you hear a loud sound in your environment, your working environment, dominance has entered. This also applies to your personal environment. But presence just is. There's no need for announcement. It's noticed instantly in some cases, and in others not right away, but once it's noticed, it cannot go unnoticed. It becomes an anchor in the room. And I think this is really important to remember. It becomes an anchor in the room. Think of Queen Elizabeth, for example. Queen Elizabeth, she rarely said anything. When she did, the world listened. Her son, on the contrary, he said a lot before he became king. But I notice since becoming king and the years leading up to him becoming king, certainly said less. Because a leader who speaks too much, aka Trump, has to speak even more to cover his tracks or her tracks. Speaking for the sake of speaking is not leadership. A wonderful mentor once said to me, a leader attends handover and just listens. They don't say anything. And the listening tells them when it's time to speak. And when speech does appear, it is concise, it is brief, it is to the point, and it is uplifting. So going into the day today, if you've entered a space loudly, remember, you've entered that space with dominance. Is dominance what the situation required of you? Sometimes it is, and that's okay. Clowns and mavericks. Especially, they're called memes. Presence. Precision and frequency. Sort of refining what it is you're carrying. We are entering the last two parts of our 5-point presentation. And the first part of the penultimate one says, what emotions do we walk into rooms carrying by default? I love this question. I love all the questions, clearly. This one, it pierces. Because guess what? You're always leaking. Me too. We are always leaking, whether we are leaking pain, whether we are leaking joy, whether we are leaking anger, whether we are leaking fear, whether we are leaking loss, whether we are leaking reservations, anxieties. The list goes on. And two things. If you can gain awareness of what it is you are leaking, and if you can obey the message behind the leak, the patterns of the leak, that means what the intensity of which leak is the most, the frequency, which leaks are interacting more with each other, at what time of day does one manifest and the other. When I speak to a particular group of people, which one sort of pops up more, which one actually pops up less. It's also really important to know which one leaks less. The list goes on. And what's really important, when you walk into a room, your brain sort of shuts off. Your encounter, should we say your live encounter? Think of this live stream as a room. When we walk into another room, another live stream, the brain almost goes through a threshold effect where you almost are living in the future. What you've just experienced in the previous room fades away to the background, and you are in a new space. And in that new space, the brain refamiliarizes itself with it again, which is why when you start a new job, it can take up to 3 months to really settle into the environment, because things are still new to the brain and it's really taking its time to map things out. And one way to support the brain there is our emotions, managing our emotions. If you can manage your emotions, you can manage what happens in the arena. The frontal lobe, the decision maker, our thoughts, that is the tamer, the shepherd, if you like, the lion tamer. The emotions, our limbic system, that's the lion. That's the sheep. It's been there far longer. The ability to feel has been there far longer, and I mean far longer. We're talking at least over 1 million years longer than our ability to think. Remember that. Recognize its power. What am I leaking today? What power am I leaking today? And how can I gain control enough? Not too much, you don't want total control. Just enough control of it to ensure that whatever I want to bring into the room is brought into the room. So, presence, huh? It's a lovely topic, isn't it? Presence and energies and leadership. Refining what it is we are carrying within us with precision and frequency requires cleaning and retuning. So what does our presence need to be cleaned off or retuned toward? And I put the hint there. Can I have a read? It's like your room, or it's like your workspace. It's like a ward, wherever you're working. If it's dirty, it's not going to transmit a signal that will carry the team as far as you want the team to go. You can always tell 9 times out of 10, or 9.9 times out of 10, how effective, how efficient, how safe, how timely, how person-centered, how equitable, aka how high quality a delivery, a service delivery is by its cleanliness, by how in tune it is, how aligned it is. And the cleaner and clearer, the greater the clarity, the further travel. The greater the clarity, the further travel. If you have a clear end goal, you will always be able to map out the stepping stones that will lead to that end goal. If you do not have a clear end goal, you are like a kite on a stormy day, just being dragged by the wind wherever it has its whims. And this is not the way forward. So how can you be the signal you want to be? Encourage Darren Jones in the audience to have a word. What routines, environments, or relationships pull us out of presence? So, what say you, Darren? There are actually a few things here that I feel we can zone in on a little bit. We took off routines, repetition. I'll give you an example. I was reflecting on my relationship with routines yesterday. There is a strong part of me that detests routines. It's just, it feels as if my head is being stretched away from my body when I'm in a routine. I feel numb. I feel soulless. I start becoming resentful. It took me a while to figure out that I don't like it at all. At the same time, though, when I'm completely free fall, I feel like I'm falling deep into an abyss that I just, like, almost like I'm being sucked in by a sand dune. I just cannot get out of it. And then I understood something about myself. I need routine. I don't want routine. I need it. I don't want it. I don't find it fun. I find it necessary to give me the stability that I need to have fun. When it comes to my professional work, I quite enjoy knowing that I can work 2 days in a row doing the same type of work. That said, if I did 3 in a row, or 3 of the same type of work in a 7-day period, it's met with resistance. By the same token, if I do just 1, it's met with almost apathy. Like it didn't even happen at all. It wasn't sufficient enough for me to sink my teeth into. What is that balance for you, routine-wise? I was reacting because I wasn't aware of what worked for me. So my signal, the energy I was transmitting, the frequency I was broadcasting was being scrambled, and whoever was on the receiving end of me just wasn't understanding me. I was so frustrated myself, I didn't have time to feel frustrated for them. And my environment as well did the same thing. I found myself reacting to my environment. It was so fast paced when I needed slow pace, but I love fast pace, but I need slow pace. And again, my signal was being scrambled and sometimes even jamming. And those on the receiving end were unable to understand my message. And that also worked with relationships. There were relationships that felt I really want, but I don't need right now. I need a different kind of relationship in order to allow me to move from stepping stone to stepping stone and get to the goal. And that was a huge wake-up call for me. So let me ask you, what relationship or relationships are pulling you out of presence? What environment is pulling you out of presence? And what are your routines that are dragging you away from your presence, scrambling your signal and ensuring that you keep reacting rather than predicting, which is what we want. Prediction. Let me share with you what presence means. And there are different types of presence. We talk about feelings a lot. We don't talk about sensing a lot. When you feel a lot, that's one thing. When you are sensing, it's actually another thing. We have a felt sense. And I know I'm using the two words together here, but let me try not to confuse you. When you sense something, that something is presence. I just want to repeat that. When you sense something, that sense is detecting presence. We talk about our vestibular sense. It's very key here because our vestibular sense allows us to know what's happening in any given space. By knowing where we are in any given space, we know what other things are in any given space. It's not that this is empty. There's so much happening here right now, so many particles here right now that my hand is moving through, that I can feel, that I can sense. It's not that I can feel, I can sense. So sense is more external, coming into our internal, and feel is more internal, going out into our external. I repeat, sense is more external, coming into our internal, and feel is more internal, going out into our external. So, some layered meanings of what presence could be sensed as. That's the physical one. This is just things, people, objects, non-objects, simply being in a room. It is much easier to sense what is a direct reflection of you. So it's much easier for us to sense humans. It's much easier for us to sense animals, much easier for us to sense flowers and plants, trees, than a jumper or glasses. Is more, actually, we are more likely to sense computers than the water bottle. Heat is a key thing that we sense all the time. Number 2 is mental presence. So focused attention that is undistracted and that is aware. Focused attention that is undistracted and that is aware. That is mental presence here. Third on the list, we have emotional presence. Now, this is a willingness to feel the internal space. And I'm using the word feel when it comes to emotions because emotions allow experience to happen. Experience is critical when it comes to sensing and presence. In order to feel, in order to sympathize, in order to empathize, in order to have compassion, we need emotional presence. We need to be able to detect emotional presence, but not to fix what we think is wrong with the emotional presence, but simply to be with it. How do you be with something? Well, you just sit next to it. You just show up. You just sit there. You don't really say anything. You let your body do the talking rather than your mouth do the talking. The mouth is the frontal lobe. You don't hear dogs trying to talk all the time, do you? Or animals that can't formulate speech. Humans love to formulate speech all the time because We're babies, and it's actually really novel. And it's actually really, really cool to be able to make sense of the world using vocabulary and la conjugaison, et grammar and punctuation. And it's really cool. Let's move on to spiritual presence. Now, this is more to do with the invisible world, the gravity of things such as peace. How do we know we're peaceful? How do we sense peace in a room? How do we sense a person has integrity? How do you sense that there is a light in the person? How do we sense that a person is dead without logically deducing that they are dead? You sense it, so you're a little bit worse. You get a little bit closer and you start doing your logical deductions. We get this sense as healthcare professionals so sharpened. It's so sharpened that we sense something is wrong. I'm going to pay attention to this person. And we move on to relational presence. That is the depth of a person's connection that we as individuals allow in an interaction. So you as an individual, you allow into an interaction the depth of that particular connection that you have with that person. That is relational presence. So listening with your whole self, not listening with a part of yourself or a part of yourself or a part of yourself, but your whole self. You're thinking your thoughts, you're feeling your feelings, you're taking action with your body at the same time. And that leads us to the most, I prefer, most holistic one, energetic presence. And this is what we talk about when we say an aura. This person has an aura about them. This person has a chi. I can feel that chi. What you're actually experiencing is resonance. That's it. And a lot of it's actually projected without speaking a word. This is what we talk about when we talk about nonverbal communication. There is music really works with that, a lot. Sound, you revert back to sound. Speech is complicated sounds. You revert back to simple sounds. So, in essence, being present, okay? If you're pulled out of presence, you're pulled out of your whole self, because presence equals whole self. If your environment is pulling a piece of you away, if your relationship are pulling pieces of you away, we know this when we're in abusive relationships that do not serve where we are going. They pull pieces of you away, and you kind of have to start fighting back to get that piece back. Don't let it go away. It's your piece. Or if you do let it go, knowing that you can generate a new piece and that you can go to the market and buy a new piece, you can say, hey, God, replace my piece, and it'll replace your piece. Either way, it's going beyond the body. It's allowing your awareness, your heart, your values, your essence to be. Okay. Final question. How would we move if we knew our being was the leadership? I love this. If your whole self is being the leader rather than the part of you that you have allocated to be a leader, it's like, today I'm going to be a leader, tomorrow I'm not going to be a leader. But you need to be a leader all the time. You need to be a leader when you go to sleep, when you brush your teeth, when you answer the phone. You're a leader, period. Some of us are transactional leaders. Some of us are only leaders when we put on a uniform, or when we step into the office, or when we're actually in the meeting interacting with other leaders. Some of us switch on at different times, like a circuit. Oh. That's actually being reactive. That's actually allowing your environment, go back to that previous question, that's actually allowing your environment, okay, to pull you out of presence. And when you allow your environment to pull you out of presence, your signal is scrambled. So remember, signal creates connection. It does not chase connection. It is the creator of connection. Your signal creates. Your signal does not chase. Nah, bruv. Boom. Okay? And I'm going to leave it at that because I think that was actually pretty sweet. So that's it. We have approached our last 5 minutes, and I'm super, super stoked and super glad that you made it to the end. Next Wednesday at 12 p.m., we're going to be talking about speaking frequency, the language of transformation. I love this one because after presence, it's communication. Once you become the signal, the next refining point is learning how to speak in frequency, how to craft language that heals, that inspires, and that cuts through confusion, because confusion comes from the enemy. Always. It is not your friend. Thank you so much. You can totally watch the replay on YouTube. Looking super forward to that. I've really enjoyed this talk. And I always get a little stumped here. But anyway, I really enjoyed this talk. And if you are interested in talking some more, I offer a 30-minute clarity call for £1 only. I did this because I don't believe in offering things for free. They don't resonate. They don't stick. We as humans don't appreciate free things. But if it's £1, you get a full refund if you do not get any value. I'm extremely confident you will get value. That will not be a problem. But if you do find your problem, you most definitely can get your pound back. Okay, that's it. You have been watching the Development and Improvement Exchange with your host, Martha Iwas, aka Coach Inazni. It has been an absolute pleasure. Boom. Woo! I love to dance. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I love to dance. Yes, I do. People come so deep. I say,